This podcast is part of E2C Network, where we share the whole Auburn experience. David Housel described it best. We are living the whole of the Auburn experience. You can quantify it, you can qualify it through a variety of methods, time, people, places, and things. But at its heart, at its core, the Auburn experience is all about Auburn sports, Auburn culture, Auburn family stuff. An easier way to say it, if it's orange and blue, it's what we do. So thank you for joining us in what we're going to do in episode 120. I'm your host, as always, Kyle Loomis. Alongside me, my good friend and yours, Mr. Austin Scott, back to discuss the Auburn experience. Welcome back, sir.
Thanks, Kyle. War Eagle to you, War Eagle to our viewers and listeners. Episode 120. It's a full one. Plenty to discuss. Plenty to wrap up with a bow. And we got lots to look forward to. So I'm looking forward to today's show.
You had to use the analogy of wrapping up things with a bow. I mean, the finality of it all. And I'm not just talking about Final Fours. So you just had to go there right at the start of the show. Thank you for that.
It's going to be that kind of show, isn't it?
It's going to be a lot of feels, a lot of emotions. If I didn't have my fill of them already today, we'll talk about that in the basketball section. By the way, if you haven't been on social media today and seen not just from what we put out there, but others, and you haven't cried today already related to some of our Auburn players, you have no soul. That's all I'm going to say. Bruce Pearl agrees with us. That's what I'm going to say about it. So we'll get there, though. We do need to start, as we always like to, before we get into the meat and the potatoes. Let's talk about Auburn news and Auburn potpourri segment. This is going to be everything else that we're going to try to smash into one here. Let's keep the basketball vibes going. Let's keep the recruiting hype that's going to start building going here as well. Let's talk about a brand new addition to the Auburn men's basketball team for 2025-26. Yes, the season just ended, but we can start thinking about these things now. It's appropriate to do so. Brand new addition, Austin, Deshaun Hall of UCF. Central Florida. No, we can't thank Gus Malzahn because he's not there anymore. But he's going to be here next year to be part of the team, committed and signed officially announced by the Tigers and Auburn basketball. What do you think about the new guy?
Yeah, really big to start. And, even more impressive that Auburn got such an elite guard, an elite forward, lots of versatility there while they're prepping for the Final Four, right? The portal, no matter what your opinion of it is, for some reason starts before the tournament ends. And so that requires a little bit of overtime for coaches that are still playing to continue being prepared for their next game if they're still playing, and then also managing the worldwide craziness of the portal. And so Auburn lands Deshaun Hall, an incredible guard and forward, 3-4 guy from UCF who can score it in a lot of ways, does a lot of good things, and they're already building for next year. So definitely won't be the last portal addition for Auburn. And there's got to be plenty of guys who are itching to join the Tigers after seeing how well they did this year. But really good start for Auburn and the portal class of 2025.
Let me correct this. I made a mistake. It's not Deshaun. It is Keyshawn Hall. Yes, that is all on us, Keyshawn. That's my bad.
I thought that sounded off.
Yes, as soon as I said it, he's brand new to us, so just give us a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. But we're excited to have him. We won't mispronounce his name from this point forward. At least I say we won't. Besides us mixing up his name, honestly, the big thing that's been intriguing to me with Keyshawn has been what people characterize him as. And frankly, I love this because that, as you pointed out, he's a versatility guy. You got a lot of options of what you can do with him, which means that it leaves a lot of room available for who you can bring in, who you can retain, and how that you can mix and match with the group there. When I saw people start categorizing him as a guard, I was like, hold on, this is not true. He's not what you would categorize as a true guard, but he can do those things, right? But he can also play up to the power forward level, in my humble opinion. So I really like this pickup, and what a way to get your transfer portal hype going as the season's right there ending. He comes in right before the season ends. He was out there at San Antonio to be with the team to celebrate the being there and be part of that. That's a really cool addition, a really cool way to get him integrated into this team and feel what it's like to be part of this program. So certainly one piece of the puzzle is in place. We will see. Well, how about this? Let me just ask you, Austin, if you had to guess 2, 3, 4 based on what you currently either know or think you know about the makeup of next year, where are you putting Keyshawn?
I thought you were gonna ask me a different question. Where I'm currently looking at, I would probably put him. Uh, probably
I know.
the three. I'm trying to think about, there, like you said, the versatility is so beneficial to Auburn because
Yeah.
we have a lot of guys who are versatile and can play different ways. Like you said, it could be any of them. And in Bruce Pearl's offense, if you haven't watched enough this year, he will be any of them at different points in time throughout the games. But probably the three at the moment. I lean 3 or 4.
Yeah, I think 3 is the easy way to go. It doesn't mean it's not correct.
Right.
I right now am going to go out on a limb here since I do so well at projections. Apparently, I'm going to project him at the 4, but it's a very loose 4. It's kind of people call it like a stretch 4. I'm going to call him like a stretch 3, which means he's basically a 4 in some, depending on what the rest of the team that's out there, the starting lineup or the rotation is, all that kind of stuff. We got versatility. We got a new body. There's still reason to be excited for next year, as we already are just ending this season, sadly, for Auburn men's basketball in that Final Four run. Let's keep the recruiting vibes going and talk about football. We knew some of this was going to start stirring up with Big Cat. By the way, did y'all realize Big Cat weekend had already happened? Like that
very early.
And it really didn't get a lot of traction, did it? I mean, it was, I realized this weekend while I was in Auburn for the watch party, and I said, oh, it's Big Cat weekend. But thankfully, we remembered because we got our first commitment out of that. And you and I have talked about this ad nauseum. A lot of people will stress if they don't get their commitments right in the middle of Big Cat weekend. But sometimes these are about planting seeds. And so this one is one that was planted and watered very early and sprouted, if we can keep using that analogy. Parker Pritchett, Columbus, Georgia, 2026, interior offensive lineman. Your opinions, your thoughts about the pickup for Hugh Freeze?
We love offensive linemen, right? You cannot have enough of them. You never know how each one develops, what strengths they have as their body continues to grow, get in the college workout program, all those things. Parker Pritchett, a very local guy in Columbus, Georgia, not far down the road. Kyle drove through there today.
Very carefully.
Very carefully.
In the rain.
And you have to love that. You love guys like that who can get in early, and who can help you recruit as well. Kyle mentioned it, that it was a star-studded weekend. Big Cat weekend always is. It has been every time Auburn's hosted it, whether it's guys committed elsewhere, top guys who are not committed that Auburn has a chance with, that Auburn doesn't have a chance with. These are guys that where seeds are planted, and is much more about making sure those relationships are really bonded and formed for wherever you might need them down the road. And in this day and age, they could go to another college and you still look back at Big Cat weekend and think, hey, that might have been a relationship that helped as they enter a portal one day. Yeah. So always a big weekend. It definitely snuck up on me too. Just a really early time in the year. Normally it's July, but it's a changing world in college football, and you just got to adapt when you can.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to think about it when you're getting used to what we normally think of when Big Cat weekend. The problem is, if Auburn's going to keep making Final Fours, it's going to run into problems if we keep doing it this time of year with it not taking center stage like it could and should in some ways. But it is a changing landscape. Very thankful that we are getting offensive linemen early in this process. I know that's always a big concern for Auburn fans. I would always continue to ask that some of the narratives I hear about there about lack thereof or inadequate recruiting from past bygone years past is a little bit under analyzed and I think overthought in some areas at sometimes. The point is now, that's a place where you have to continue to replenish. And whether this is a 3-star, 4-star, 5-star, right, you got to have bodies in that room. And frankly, I'm just excited that we got someone out of what is the tertiary backyard, not the Opelika or the Auburn area or even the Montgomery, but Columbus is kind of that first reaching arm into the state of Georgia, which is basically our backyard. And we need to continue to go in there and grab these guys, especially the offensive linemen. So that's exciting to see us adding him into the fold for 2026 this early in the process. Let's give some kudos in basketball, of course, to our head coach. You and I have talked about him a lot on the show and given him his laurels and his kudos, as is everybody. We knew he was going to be up for awards like this, Coach of the Year. He's already won SEC Coach of the Year. He's won some other awards as Coach of the Year, or recognition for that. But some of the more legitimate ones out there are people that are is the AP. The AP this week before the Final Four recognized Coach Pearl as a co-Coach of the Year. I believe that is the first time that has happened, Austin. Is that correct?
Ever. Yep.
Ever. Rick Pitino is sharing one with Coach Bruce Pearl. So I guess let's talk about it from two ways. Obviously, just, whatever you'd like to say to Coach Pearl or for winning the award, but the thoughts on sharing it as well with Rick Pitino.
Yeah. I mean, what very well deserved. There's no, if you don't think that Bruce Pearl hasn't done a Coach of the Year type job this year, you just don't want to admit that to yourself, or you're not paying attention.
You're not being reasonable.
And so it's very well deserved, and a long list of accolades that he already has added to it. I have full confidence Coach Pearl will be the first one to say, after knowing what we know now, that doesn't matter to him near as much as a team accolade. However, it's very, very special and very honoring. The fact that it happens for the first time ever and it's co-Coach of the Year is just sounds too poetic for the national media, who just seem to not like Bruce Pearl still for some reason. But I'm not surprised. I'm really not. I saw that headline when it came out, and I was like, of course. But that's nothing to take away from Coach Rick Pitino in St. John's.
Yes.
I think his story is pretty impressive. To a similar story, right? To have kind of some negativity and some things that you shouldn't have been doing, and it can come back from that and still be successful. I think that talks a lot about grace and perseverance in our culture these days, which doesn't happen as much. So very congratulations to both of them, but we're partial to the man who wears orange and blue.
Of course. And I like that you gave the kudos to Rick Pitino. The job, whether it's his full story or just the job he's done at St. John's, very much being in the conversation was deserved for him. I think we can all recognize that the SEC was the most dominant conference this year, and to
not a question.
Bruce Pearl did should immediately vault you up, uncontested, in my opinion, as the Coach of the Year. But hey,
some would say that should work in Player of the Year arguments as well, but obviously
some would say that just because you have the media's eye and attention for the entire year, and you're from a school,
even though you played an upward schedule, I guess it just doesn't matter.
That's a good one, Austin. I have never heard it called an upward schedule this year. So
if you don't think the ACC, we don't have time. Never.
No,
mind.
you go ahead. You could go right.
It's just it's no question. But it's like you were getting to Cooper Flagg has had the media attention all year long. I'm not even arguing that he could have the better pro career,
sure.
better law, but that's not what the award is.
Right.
It's not what the award is, and
yes.
it's a predetermined award apparently, and that's fine.
Yeah.
You know what? Janai and Cooper are both at home now, so I guess that is part of it, but I just disagree. Is that good enough?
I just
disagree.
I just disagree. My way of thinking about it has been this: why are we honoring someone who has done less for the game of college basketball than the one that has done more for the game of college basketball? Not taking away any respect from Cooper Flagg's talent, what he may end up doing, and what he's meant to Duke. But what I'm saying is, I think there is something to that needs to be discussed. Who has done more for the game of basketball? Who has done more for their team? Who's done more for their conference? And
against
dominant?
Who? Yeah,
exactly. And apparently an upward schedule, as Austin characterized it.
Yep.
Well, as the last part of potpourri, we have stalled as long as we can.
We've been stalling. I've been trying.
I've been looking over here in the corner this entire time, and I don't think we can stall it anymore. But let's just give some kudos to a team that, in the winter sports, it's hard to, find room to pay attention to all these things all at once. You got men's basketball, women's basketball, swimming and diving, equestrian, all going on, several others as well that kind of get started in the middle of that. Gymnastics has had a pretty decent year, but also has dealt with a lot of injuries, and yet makes it to the Sweet 16 themselves. They are, as we are talking right now on this Sunday evening, competing in their final rotation in the Sweet 16 to move on to the Elite 8. I don't think, as we're sitting right here now, they're going to move on, but they are putting up a fight. And regardless of what happens, we got to give them their kudos for just putting together a great year with all the adversity they've had.
Yes, tons of adversity, and it's not like it's just been injuries. It's been starters. It's been elite performers.
Yep.
Excuse me. Just has been a really tough year trying to manage those rotations for Jeff Graba and his staff. And they've still found themselves to advance the Sweet 16 here after earlier this week. And like you said, Kyle, Sophia Groth just finished her final floor rotation of the meet. And hopefully she'll get one more. We'll see how the scores shake out. Like you said, it didn't look great going into the final rotation. Auburn has to place in the top 2, I believe, to advance. But just a really stand-up job by Jeff Graba. A lot of seniors, a lot of freshmen who have been kind of forced to step up this year. And just an impressive year. A lot of high optimism things to look at as we head into the next season and hopefully maybe one more meet here this year.
Yes, we can certainly hope so. It's just hitting me right now. Another finality of all these things, whether it's basketball, that Sophia Groves is her, regardless of if it's her last one or not, that she's leaving. You want to talk about people that have been like the face of, the heart of, the soul of a program. That's a girl that has been just the heart and soul of gymnastics for quite some time. And every time I watch her go out there, especially on the floor, she just looks like she's having the time of her life.
Absolutely.
So, such a great representative of Auburn in general, but of course of gymnastics. So we're proud of them, regardless of how things shake out. To make the Sweet 16 in this year with that type of competition is an impressive feat. So congratulations to them. Let's move on and talk about our big main topics this evening. We'll start with our first one, and we will go no further without diving into every aspect of the Final Four. The finality of it, the game, the watch party, the welcome back home today for the team, and try our best to put everything we can into this segment. Now, let me stress this for viewers, listeners. We will probably do another kind of wrap up in a week or two about the season as a whole and kind of re-walk through it together. This is more about what just happened. So certainly I know a lot of you have some future thoughts and talks that you want us to get to. And we might have some of that in here because some of it came up today. But let's sit in it for it, man. First opening thoughts. How we feeling, Austin?
It sucks, right? Like, I think that's just
it sucks.
It's a pretty honest way to say it. I continued to wear the same clothes I've worn all tournament, and it just for the tradition and superstition.
Did you wash these?
They were washed every time. Every time, even on the Friday,
I smelled something.
Even on the Friday, Sunday turnarounds. But it didn't go their way, and obviously put up a really hard fight. That just like the first time with Florida, but Florida is just a very, very good basketball team.
Yep.
And they have an incredible guard in Walter Clayton Jr., who just went off. I don't think there were some nitpicky things that even Bruce talked about post game. Excuse me, I don't. Gosh,
he's all choked up about it. Settle down.
We're not supposed to get choked out yet.
That part's coming. Don't you wait.
I don't think they did a bad job defensively on them. I thought Auburn did well. I'll be honest. I was going into the game and I thought if we win, it'd be great. But this was where, when the bracket even came out, when Auburn and Florida were on the same side, I thought, oh, that is going to be a hard one if the road doesn't end there, I'll be surprised. But then you get up 9 and you go into halftime up 8, and it's like the belief starts coming in, right? On tenfold.
Yeah.
And so it's hard, and it's hard, no harder than for the players than anyone else. But I think that a special team like this, someone asked me, is this one harder to stomach or the Virginia in 19?
A lot of people asking that question.
And I think there's no wrong answer. It's different for different people. For me, it's this one. And wow. I think it's because take out the double dribble, take out all that nonsense. For me, it's this one. And I loved the 19 team. I've said it before. Jared Harper is one of my ultimate favorites. My dog is named after him. I think but for me, it's this one because the 19 team just surprised a lot of people, even Auburn people, and it was the first time, right? It was Auburn's happy to be there, and and they still almost pulled it out. But for this team, it was an all year effort. It was all year long. They're the top. They're the best, and they can compete with anybody.
Yeah.
And that ended up being the case all the way down to the final buzzer. But this one was special with a bunch of guys who'd been here a long time, who mean a lot to Auburn, and Auburn means a lot to them. So it's hard. No way you can cut it twice about it.
You brought it up. Walter Clayton certainly is probably the biggest storyline, especially in the second half, with Auburn having that 9-point lead and really look like they were positioning themselves to take control of the game. We end up 79-73. Gators take down the Tigers, and a little bit of a flurry at the end there with some opportunities, but just too many mistakes down the road cost them. They all added up. I cannot stress this to you enough, folks. If you joined our post-game streams, you heard me harp on this every single year, every single show we did. What does it come down to? Free throws, rebounds, turnovers. And I remember this off the top of my head. We lost the rebound battle. We won the turnover battle by like 2, but there was
somehow
highly uncharacteristic of not. I should say more often than not, uncharacteristic of Auburn to have that many, even if they won it. And then in the free throws, it wasn't outstanding for both teams. The Florida won by like 0.2%, I think is what it was. Maybe one more free throw than us. So it wasn't like they made a big difference. I call that a push situation. So when you've got that close together and they made a big enough difference in the rebound, a couple other things you can throw in there, it just makes sense why Florida was able to overcome Auburn's lead and then outlast them essentially at the end. And I did say this to myself, to others that I saw in the arena at halftime. We know that Florida is going to come up with a run here soon. And the question is, will Auburn respond in kind to that run? If they do, in my opinion, and I was saying to myself, they will win the game. If they do not respond in kind to that run, the Gators win, and that ended up being true. That momentum just swung their way, and they were able to not run away with it, but hold on to it just long enough to make Auburn a little bit more desperate, a little bit more loose, a little bit more, taking a few more risks that didn't go their way, and we result in the win for the Gators, 79-73. But listen, if you got to go down, you're going down to one of the best. This isn't losing to some Cinderella. This is losing to the tournament champions for the SEC, the team that already beat you there. Credit to them, man. And no shame in this.
No, there's no shame in it. It's, the pre-tournament favorite. And Auburn's the number 1 overall seed, but the Florida was the pre-tournament favorite. I think they will still be the favorite going into tomorrow night's game against Houston. They have been playing unbelievably well. They are very well coached. They are very well disciplined. Like Kyle said, it came down to those 3 areas. And 12 turnovers in the second half is a season high for Auburn and a half. And that just can't happen. And I think, that is a little bit misleading to me because like you mentioned, things got desperate in the end there.
Sure.
And just uncharacteristic things, but that high of a number, even if it's 1 or 2 less, can't happen if you expect to win a game at where you're at in this part of the season.
Right.
And so it does not go their way. I think that Auburn will be back. I'm not saying it's a next year or the year after. I don't know that. Nobody does. But I think that if Auburn and Bruce Pearl haven't convinced you they're here to stay by now, then you might want to hop on board because the train's going to leave soon.
Yeah, and you talk about Auburn being back. 1 time's a coincidence, 2 times a pattern, 3 times is a trend. So if this is going to be a trend under Bruce Pearl, we'll probably see it sooner rather than later. So that's my advice and my encouragement to Auburn fans. Yeah, we're disappointed right now. Yeah, this sucks. So much to be proud of in this moment, but I do believe that the Auburn Tigers will be back sooner rather than later. And I'm just all about predictions right now.
Oh, we go.
I'm
We're on a hot streak right now.
Well, listen, my last prediction was doing good until the Final Four. My prediction is that Bruce Pearl and the Auburn Tigers will be in the Final Four in 2 years. In 2 years. It's not that hot of a take, but we'll see. There's quite the reload that's going on right now, and re-establishing of the roster that's going to take place this year. We'll see if
So
I've got
for
a
those
theme.
listening to episode 388, come on back. Come on back. You're back. Let's see. Tell us how it went.
I'm just glad you want to be around for 388. So there you go. He's committed to 388 and he can't go on before then. All right. Other aspects of this, really briefly, I want to talk about the watch party. I got a chance to attend to that as I did last time. You talking about coincidence and trends. That's two times I've been to a watch party at Neville for the Final Four and we've lost. Maybe I don't need to go anymore. The amount of
if we're doing attendance things, then somebody better hop on Kyle for this.
Yeah. Listen, no, you got more of a trend than I do in that way.
Of a winning one.
Well, this year. Okay, this year. Now,
that's a trend. We just talked about 3 in a row as a trend. I went like 7 in a row this year.
But see, okay, so
somebody could have flown me out to San Antonio and we'd be talking about how we're playing tomorrow night.
You're doing the Auburn hater math right now where they were trying to like say Auburn was a trash team because they had a bad end of the season, but they were not quantifying and qualifying the rest of the story. So we got to talk about the full story, Austin, the amount of times that you've been there and people have gotten hurt. And
so I'm back up to 500 now, and you're at 0-2. That's what I'm hearing right now.
All right,
that's what I'm hearing right now.
Whatever. I guess none of us can go to basketball games anymore.
Yeah. Have you seen the prices?
Well, that's a fair point. Fair point. God, I would say I miss the days of being able to walk in there and choose your seat, but no, I don't.
No, we don't. I don't.
Okay. Watch party was great. Didn't really feel like there was a whole lot different this time. Maybe I think last time they used the lower bowl a little bit, but then you were like doing this the entire time.
That's not where I would pick to sit.
There really wasn't a bad seat in the house. I mean, if you sit in the corners, the full Jumbotron splits, but it splits so evenly that you're kind of like, oh, I didn't even notice it. I chose to go sit in the media seating with their swivel chairs. And then every time something great happened, I'm not going to do it here because I'll mess up my cords, but I've just spin around. And of course, by the way, if you're ever with me, because I have to do work for E2C Network while I'm watching, I'm ahead because I'm paying attention to websites that keep the actual real-time events. So if you ever watched me when we were shooting free throws, if my hands went up, that meant we were going to do the AAU thing that we were going to make. And if they didn't go up, you knew what was going to happen. They said limited concessions, but other than limited locations, I don't think the top had theirs open. They had, I think, they had pizza out there, Ben's Pretzels, Austin.
Hey, there you go.
I mean, it felt like a basketball game in there for the most part, other than the team wasn't actually there.
Estimated number if you had to throw one out?
80%, 85% full. Maybe not. Maybe if everybody was in their seat, because there were some long lines to get those Ben Pretzels, maybe 90%. If I'm really having everybody sit down in your seats, let's quantify it.
So then you're taking out like student section, scholarship area.
That's
Probably
I was thinking of what was available to sit in. So if you count all of that, the lower bowl, probably 75%, 70%.
It's like what, 6,000, 5,000?
We probably pushed 6,000, something like that. Lots of fun to be in there. The crowd pops every time something went off was great. I hate that you weren't able to be there with us, but you probably would have been, pacing at the end like I was. I literally started doing laps around the bowl.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
It was pretty bad. That's mainly the stuff that I have to talk about from there. Certainly, we were all wanting to run from there and go to Timmer's Corner, but that didn't work out. Let's talk about today and the welcome back that we kind of all knew probably was going to happen. I'm happy that they kept the vibe of last time and the way they did it, of having us arrive before the team, be there, ready to roll. The weather certainly, I think, kept some people away, but the seats that were mainly available were filled up within 20 minutes of them opening up the gates. Luckily, I was lucky I got there when I did, because I had a seat right at the top of the thing. And if you haven't seen all our videos from the day, you need to go look at them. There are snippets of moments. There are snippets of full speeches. There's going to be a compilation video when I get that done tomorrow, probably on a Monday. I said this to start off the show, Austin, and I'm saying this to any of you Auburn fans. If you ever say a crossword about Chris Moore ever again, if anyone thinks a negative word about Chris Moore, I will come find you, and I don't know what I'll do or say to you, because I'm not going to get say this on the air, but you will not be a happy camper seeing me if I catch you saying something about Chris Moore after the speech that man gave. Not a dry eye in the room. And if you try to act like you were some tough guy or lady that didn't like get a little misty eyed in there, you're just lying. You're just a dang liar, and you're not being an Auburn man or woman. I'm alluding to, obviously, the team arrived, and Bruce Pearl gave an opening speech and then gave the floor to everybody that wanted to speak. Obviously, we expected to hear from Dylan, from Janai, and a couple of the others as well. But Austin, I'm going to be honest with you. Last time they did this, I think it was such a shock, and everybody was so shy. It was like pulling teeth to get somebody to say something. We heard from like 7 people that all got up there and shared their thoughts, their thanks, their feelings about what they're experiencing. It was a great moment, and I wish you had been there with us, because, man, those are the things that I am so thankful I get to take part in.
Yeah, super cool to just kind of hear that raw emotion from the players themselves. And you know, I think we as fans take these things hard and take them because we're so invested. But you think about, there's only a certain group of individuals who could even be more invested and who actually played the game. And that's those guys that was not, barely 18 hours before.
Yeah.
And so they're still processing a lot and things, and for some of them, they're not just processing the loss in the end of a season or the game. They're processing their college careers are over. Their time at coming to being at Auburn is almost over. And so, I think that's where you see some of that raw emotion like we did. And if you haven't seen Kyle's videos, please go check them out. You won't miss them because they're being shared by everyone. But
Bruce Pearl,
including Coach. So, I think that's where you see a lot of that raw emotion from Chris and Dylan. And Dylan even talks about it. It's not so much about the season or the game. It's about his best friends. They are not going to practice again together. They
don't get free breakfasts.
They're not going to get free breakfasts again together.
My gosh.
They might just at the wellness kitchen, but they're not going to get, it's not the same. And so for any that are ending their college career, things like that, there's a finality you realize. But for these guys who spend so much time together, it's more than just that their season has ended. And so definitely check those videos out. And thanks, Kyle, for you taking such good videos of those and us getting to see that for those of us that weren't there.
It is obviously, it takes some work and effort to pull those things off, but we do it, because I enjoy being there for those moments, even if I have to do it behind a camera, because you all deserve to see those moments. And let me just bring it back to who you brought up. We talked about Chris. Again, if anybody ever says anything, does anything that will harm that beautiful soul after what he said today, I will find you and you'll regret it. Is that too violent? I don't know.
You won't be a happy camper.
You will not be a happy camper. That's the official statement. I retract the first statement. I insert the second into what I said there. Dylan Cardwell. Obviously, I think we all knew when he walked up to the mic, we were going to get something good out of that, as we've gotten something good out of that man for 5 years. Auburn man. It's cliche. We talk about, you look in the dictionary, you'll find A, B, C person that exemplifies being an Auburn man or woman. Dylan Cardwell is right there. He couldn't even get to the stand today from the applause that had him tearing up. And he made it through and did a great job, as they all did, to share their thoughts and opinions about what, they felt, what they were experiencing, the disappointment. I'm going to just say this to the team right now. I know you probably know this. You have nothing to be ashamed of. You have nothing to feel unfinished about. Did we all want to get to the actual mountaintop? Yes, but you took us to the peaks again to see the mountaintop. There are certain teams that didn't even make it to those little peaks to see that mountaintop. You took us there again. This isn't a coincidence. This is a pattern, and you're the ones that established it. Do not ever count yourselves less in our eyes. You, and we'll have this discussion, are probably the greatest basketball team in Auburn history. Others have said it. Your coaches insinuate it. We can debate that another day, but do not for a second feel inadequate, unfinished, that you failed. You have not failed us. You have been the best representative of Auburn basketball that we have seen to date, in my opinion. Last thing about Dylan Cardwell. We've made funny jokes about this, and I'm still being halfway funny here, Austin. I think you agree. Auburn University, I'm looking right in the camera right now at you. We make a podcast about you. We're nothing but big advocates for you. We'll be honest and constructive about our criticism of you, and this is going to be one of those areas.
I have no idea where this is going.
I'm just going to say this right now. This will be constructive criticism of you if this does not happen. Once Dylan Cardwell is done doing whatever he wants to do with his life and he needs a job, if you do not sign that man to a lifetime contract, I don't care what it is, in some capacity, you have failed as a university. You have failed if you do not find a way to make sure that man, when he wants to be employed at Auburn, I don't care if it's just honorary mic man for the rest of his time and we pay him whatever he needs. That man is a walking, talking, breathing Auburn man. Sign him up the moment he wants to be signed up in whatever capacity. Do you have any qualms with that, Austin?
Dylan's done a great job advocating and marketing Auburn University his entire time here. I think now, for the record, I think Dylan will have an incredibly long and successful career doing whatever he wants to do, whether that's basketball. Certainly I could see coaching, anything he wants to do. I think he'll be just fine. But if he ever wants to come back to the Plains, I think we do what we can to keep him around.
Auburn, whoever this is, Auburn, just whoever needs to make decisions now. Draft the contracts now. Do it. It'll be the same. If you don't do it, I'll be just as upset with you as those people who are degrading Chris Moore. Anyway, I keep saying there's one more thing. There's so much to talk about. We do have other things we want to talk about. Let's acknowledge something that has been said at this welcome back party. The speeches to Todd Pettiford. We have the video of him openly saying, I hope to be back next year. I'm using specific words here. I need you all to listen to, because there's certain people that are out there trying to say that wasn't said, or trying to say that things were said that weren't. So you got to make sure that you always go actually to sources, whether it's ours or somebody else, to get the full thing and listen to what they're saying. So Todd Pettiford said, I hope to be back next year and run it back. So that is an acknowledgement that he wants to be back. That is an acknowledgement that it is on the table. Does it mean that it is 100% happening? No. But does that excite you in any way, Austin? I got to think it does.
Excites me more than I can possibly say. I think that, and I saw a lot of people saying, oh, he said he's confirmed he's coming back. There are people taking those quotes out of context, just saying run it back. And Tahad himself is replying left and right to people saying that is not confirmed. That is not what I said. But I think that has to show you some sense of optimism that I don't think you'll see Tahad leave via the portal. If Tahad leaves, he'll be playing pro basketball. And I think regardless, and this is always something we always have to remind people too, college basketball players can announce their intention to enter the draft and still come back. Janai did it like every time, I think. Tahad will most likely do that. He will most likely go see what they say. They might say, you're it. We want you. You're good enough. We'd love to see you compete some more with and head to the pros. But there's a chance that he comes back too. And I think that if he is told that, then he has confirmed to us he would like to be back.
Yes.
I think Bruce Pearl has been a very big advocate for his players on them doing what's best for them and their families. If Tahad has an opportunity to go, I think he'll probably go. But if he can be back one more year, I would be elated.
Yes. And again, folks, go to the source, go see what he said, and then obviously what he follows up on social media. The only people that matter in this conversation, not what I think, not what Austin thinks, not what any media out there thinks, is exactly the only people that matter are him and his family, and essentially his coach as well, because they're going to be part of the conversation too. Tahad Pettiford has expressed at least that there's a desire to do that. It doesn't mean that he is confirming that he will. It is not confirming anything other than there is clearly a desire to be back. And I would imagine after the year he's had that that wouldn't be a shock that would be there. So we'll watch it. We'll wait. We'll see. And we're going to talk about it. But my biggest advice to you is I try to help Auburn fans is stop fretting about things that you can't control. just enjoy what you have right now and look forward to the future. Okay, enough basketball talk. We'll come back and revisit the end of the season, all that stuff another time. Let's talk about the Diamond Sports. It is time for us to do another big update about them, baseball and softball. A lot of our attention is going to start shifting there now as we move fully into spring sports with what's left of the athletic calendar year. And it was a great week for Diamond Sports in all aspects. We have 2 series wins to talk about. Yes, you heard me correct. We were talking about baseball and softball, and we have 2 series wins. So let's start with baseball. I think that's probably the one that most people want us to talk about first, Austin. We had a little matchup with the Alabama Crimson Tide this week. Not just the Alabama Crimson Tide, but the number 8 in one ranking, Alabama Crimson Tide, in the confines of the beautiful Plainsman Park. And your boys took 2 out of 3, won the series after bouncing back after they got swept by Georgia. That's what you got to have right there. It's not about what you do. It's about how you respond to it. And your Tigers win game 1, game 2. Game 1 was 10-0, run rule. Game 2 was 5-6 Alabama's way. Auburn was in position to win that one, mind you. And then game 3, 7-5. The Tigers win. How you feeling after a series victory over the arch rivals?
Love it. Definitely, even more so, it's great that it's Alabama all the time, anytime. Right. I love even more so that coming off of a sweep to Georgia and losing a midweek to UAB, they found a way to get a really hard series win at home. Over Alabama, yes, but over an SEC team, yes, and over a top 10 SEC team, which is like half the league anyway. So it's good to see. It's really good. I hope that propels into the midweek this week. You got to get a really good test in Georgia Tech this week coming up.
Yep.
The weekend series is escaping me, but it's the SEC, so I know it'll be difficult. So I love it. I thought it showed a lot. It was a crowd attendance for the whole weekend, regardless of Auburn being in the Final Four. I think that's helpful. And it was one of those weeks, right? We talked about this weekend as one of those weekends early in the year as being something to come see a lot of the Auburn experience. Next weekend will be just one like it. So if you didn't get here this weekend, make sure you're here next weekend.
Yeah.
But love it. Love anytime you beat Alabama. It's a great day.
Yeah. So let's put it to perspective here. Your Auburn Tigers now have won 3 out of the 4 series. I think after last year, that's very encouraging.
Take that.
Considering how the SEC competition went for them last year. I will take that. And to me, it's, as I said, starting off, it's more important to see what they do after getting swept by one of the top, if not the top teams in the country in Georgia. Doing it against your rival is very important. Doing it with, you have to deal with weather issues of playing double headers. Baseball players are used to this, but still you got to think that can play some aspect of fatigue or be a distraction in some way. But certainly I know they felt the support of the crowd, setting record attendance as you saw. Auburn takes down Alabama, wins the series over a more highly ranked, currently, Alabama Crimson Tide. But it really doesn't matter because we took the series. Let's move on to softball. And certainly you and I have not had a lot of exciting things to talk about with softball since they entered SEC competition. We've prepared you all that it was going to be pretty rough, regardless of whether it was the first year or not. You had Oklahoma and Texas coming in on top of what was already in with SEC softball. And boy, it's been rough, hasn't it, Austin? How many series in a row did we lose? 4 or 5?
I don't want to know. I stopped counting and I just said that one day it'll come and that day will be a happy day. And it was this weekend.
It was this weekend against the Kentucky Wildcats, and your Tigers took down them to win not just their first SEC win with the brand new coaches, the coach Malveaux, as I've tried to call them now, coaches Malveaux. I'm going to make that stick.
You botched up your own thing.
The coaches Malveaux. The coaches Malveaux. Game 1, they won 2-0. Game 3, they lost 3-4.
2-1.
2-1. What did I say? 3-1.
2-0. It's okay. 2-1.
2-1. 3-0. 3-4 in the second game. They lost.
Great. You're doing really great.
I'm not used to this. Give me a second here. 2-1. Game 3, they take the series. And we have defeated the Kentucky Wildcats, got the first SEC win, and got the first SEC series win. How do you feel?
It's good. It's a monkey off the back, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully it's good taste for these girls and the coaches. I mean, I'm not a Division I coach in anything, never will be. I can confidently say that. But I think that, for the coaches, they're wondering when's it going to come as well. Like they've taken a big leap here to go in on this thing together, to go to an SEC school and do it together. And it's dragging out a little bit. They got it done. Some more inclement weather up there caused them to shift things around too. But take the series, and hopefully that's something they can springboard off of into this weekend, and be back home and see a lot of success from. So love it. I love that it was kind of some lower scoring games. It shows that pitching was doing well.
Yeah.
And that's their bread and butter. And I think that they've kind of leaned on that. So it shows that that's working out for them. And I hope we see that continue.
Yeah, and you got to think whether it's the lower scoring games, finishing close games, because I think Auburn has been in some position with some more highly thought of, more highly ranked SEC teams, and wasn't able to close out the job to either get that first SEC win or even put themselves in position to compete for a series against those opponents. So whether it's the low scoring aspect, how close you were, and you were able to finish out the job there for the 2 out of the 3 games, that's a great encouragement for the team, a great encouragement for the coach's Malvo. I'm going to get that down before we're done talking about this team this year. But there we go. Monkey off the back, moving forward. Looking forward to seeing how they finish out the rest of the season. That's going to do it for episode 120 of the Auburn Experience podcast. We appreciate you all being here with us today. Yes, we are sad that the Final Four didn't go our way. Yes, we are excited about how Diamond Sports is with this week. But as we always talk about with you on this roller coaster ride that is the Auburn Experience, it is never a dull moment and never less special. If you want to keep up with me, do so on X at Kyle Loomis 24. Where can they find you?
Yeah, on X, on Instagram at Austin G. Scott. It was a Aubie-themed birthday yesterday for the Twins. The Aubie-themed birthday party, I should say, for the Twins. Led right into the game, had a whole tailgate of a day. So look forward to seeing some pictures of that coming out soon. More Aubie than you could ever possibly imagine was in this house.
When are we actually going to get Aubie to show up to the Twins? And
see, Aubie was in San Antonio, and Aubie can only be one place at one time.
Yeah,
Kyle.
I forgot about that.
He cannot. There are not. There's one Aubie. Kyle.
There is one Aubie. Why? Have you seen Lee Corso ever wear his head?
No, because he's real.
He's a real.
But also, it would have turned into Nightmare on Elm Street if he'd showed up. So we're gonna hold off on that and continue looking at Aubie from a distance or in pictures.
Well, one day I can't wait to see that video of them finally going up and hugging Aubie.
I know
that'll be so precious.
It's probably going to be their college graduation, but it'll be fine.
What if they're still running from Aubie? That would be so sad.
We're going to have some therapy.
They're not setting themselves up well to be those awesome linebackers that I predicted they would be for you growing up. Auburn linebackers.
No. Well, I think I predicted Mike Min, so that's even worse because that's like right next to it.
It's literally their job to be best friends with Aubie.
Right.
We'll work on it.
Yes,
Thanks for hanging out with us on episode 120. Until we talk to you again. War Eagle.
War Eagle.